Round 5, round 6, Sam Womack, Tariq Castro Fields. How do you feel?
All right, so let's go in order. Let's go with Samuel Womack first. So he's pick number 172. He's out of Toledo. Whenever I analyze these defensive backs, I look at what colleges they were playing, and I think we should temper our expectations of them based on their competition. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's hard to say it, but I don't want to say they were in D leagues or anything like that, but they weren't going up against some of the best wide receivers in the nation. And actually, I'm more excited about the next one, and we'll get to him. But Samuel Womack he kind of fits our historic physical parameters that the 49ers kind of headhunt. Rangy, he's not really overly tall. He's 5'10", he's 187, 190. It fluctuates in there. There's a big discrepancy on his 40 time. So his official is 4.52 on his 40, but I saw an unofficial where he ran a 4.39. But that's probably when he ran it at home, basically on his own turf.
Yeah, see, he wasn't invited to the combine, so they don't have an electronic time on him. But what I'm seeing on draftscout.com is 4.4 flat.
So basically right in between those 4.4 flats. Yeah, I had 4.39 and 4.52.
Okay.
Yeah. I see somewhere in there. So let's call him a 4.4 guy. Let's be fair. Yeah. He definitely has the body and the build for that. He's got pretty decent arms. As somebody who has 32-inch arms, I love seeing guys with long arms. He's got 31.5-inch arms, which at 5'10" is pretty good. And that's really where he has the physical body to play at this level. One of the things I like about him in watching his tape so far, again, I temper my expectations because of who he plays. But he gets really good reads. He anticipates. He's a headhunter. And by that, I mean he's an aggressive tackler. He can play both zone and man. And when he plays man coverage, this I like because I look at the kind of people that we are going up against. The DeAndre Hopkins, the Cooper Kupps, people like that. He's a physical press corner when he plays man. The issue that I feel he's going to have to wake up with, and this is all corners coming out of college, is with that press coverage, don't get burned. That's the issue. And we've seen a lot of that from our draft picks. Again, this is a 5th round pick. I think it's decent value at the position we got him. And that's about where he should have gone. Personally, I like the next corner more. And my biggest knock on Samuel Womack is he's herky-jerky in his body mechanics. And to me, that's terrifying as a DB coach type. If you look at it from their perspective, his hips are not very fluid. And if you can't backpedal with the fluidity and you can't get your hips turned and throw your shoulders the correct direction, next thing you know, Cooper Kupp's putting a move on you and he's gone. And that's the issue is I don't think Jimmy Ward's going to like what he sees as a safety at this point. But that's why you draft them. That's why you develop them. This is the guy who needs some work. But I'm happy to say it's not in his head. It's in his hips. That's where he's going to need the work.
What stands out to me about these two picks is like it's a perfect illustration of their philosophy about drafting corners. They don't draft corners early. They do it late. And so they're always trying to sell us on this 5th round pick, this 6th round pick. Like it's like they're coming back from the flea market. They're like, look what I got for a nickel. It's like, yeah, okay, you was a nickel, but what are you really expecting? And I feel like what they say is, why get a corner in round 1 or round 2 when we can get an athlete with the same athletic specifications in round 5? Like if you look at Sam Womack, like just his pro day numbers, he killed it. Like he compared favorably to Jason Verrett athletically. And so the Niners are like, we could get a similar athlete in round 5. And you look at Tariq Castro Fields, he ran a 4.38. He's 6'1". I mean, athletically, agility, explosion, he's got it all. And the Niners are like, let's just get an athlete and coach him up, as opposed to, someone who had a lot of success in college.
Exactly. These are athletes, not cornerbacks.
And they have the length. They have everything you want, like from an athletic specification, the length, the movement skills, but they probably didn't have a ton of success in college. They probably didn't intercept many passes. And I think the Niners
got 5 interceptions in his career. That's not too bad, all things considered. It doesn't flash out at you as all time or anything, but it's okay. But like you said, to your points,
right? There's a reason these guys are dropping.
And his hips, that's like if you're a fan of the 49ers and someone comes to you and says, hey, we just drafted a cornerback, but his hips don't move that well, you're terrified because you realize, oh, okay, Cooper Kupp's going to love that. And that's the point, is this is what you get at this level. It's not to say you can't get these gems. I think Emmanuel Mosley was a great find. That's kind of what they're hoping for, though. It's like you draft enough of them late that maybe one of them steps up. And if the Niners are going to continue to do this, they need to sign free agents to this position because it is a position of extreme need. And again, Verrett is coming back, and I'm excited, but I have no expectation. If he comes out and plays Pro Bowl level, that's awesome. But for me, I was looking to this draft to solve that problem.
I think it just shows that the Niners have kind of low expectations in their backfield, their defensive backfield. As long as they have like guys who can, tackle and run and play man-to-man coverage and have long arms, like that's good enough. Sort of keep everything in front of you. They're not really looking for a lot of like production from the defensive backfield is what I'm looking for. Like if you want production from DBs, you're drafting them in rounds 1, 2, and 3, and the Niners don't do that. So they're just like, you know what, play off, keep everything in front of you, don't get burned, be a good athlete, tackle. I mean, be solid. So I think Womack and Tariq Castro-Fields could be solid at one point, but they're always going to try to sell these guys as like potential playmakers, like Talanoa, last year's 5th round DB pick. Like really, they're going to say that he's this, game changer in the backfield. Maybe, probably not though.
Yeah, the Troy Polamalu, the reference they draw, whoever came up with that PR reference was brilliant.
It might have been Troy. I mean, it's like the whole league is looking for playmakers in the defensive backfield, but this guy slipped to round 5. Like, all right, maybe. I mean, Richard Sherman did. That was famous, but
yeah, but Richard Sherman is a little bit. I mean, he's a cerebral player. He has the arms, he has the physical strength, but he's not fast.
No.
He has fluid hips. So whenever you have fluid hips, if you ran a 4.5, but your hips are fluid, that's a 4.4 as far as reaction time goes. And so Richard Sherman with his brain in his prime, he's playing like he ran a 4.3, basically. Luis Castellanos.
Awesome. Sybilla. All right. So I hate to be like the downer on the new defensive backs, but every year the Niners draft some guy with like the 170th pick, some DB, and they're like, this guy's great though. Like, come on, man.
Yeah, I mean, what was it? The 221st pick is you're gonna me with my linguistics. So one of the military officers in my family shares the namesake with our next pick, and I'm devastated to see him mispronounce his own name, but it's Tarek, and it means warhammer, the pounder, the breaker in Arabic, and this is a glorious first name he has, but. Mr. Tarek,
Warhammer.
learn how to pronounce your name. I'm going to say that. This is
actually pronounce his name however he wants to pronounce his name, but I like that. Warhammer. That's cool.
Literally. I hope the guys in practice, if he's any kind of good and he tackles well, I hope they pick this up and they start calling him that.
I like that.
He's actually the greatest male warrior in my national history, so very important name.
Wow.
So Tarek Castro-Fields, he's out of Penn State. I'm gonna say I'm not a Penn State fan, but this guy predated on the Terps. So I've actually seen him play because he plays against Maryland. And that did not go very well for Maryland. So I feel like he was a bigger, medium-sized fish in a small pond as far as some of the competition. Maryland is just not that good. I'm sorry. They're just not that good. They're not even fun to watch. He's 197 pounds, short-armed as far as I'm concerned for his size, 30 3/4-inch arms. I'm 5'8". I have 32, just a little bit over arms. So I'm not really impressed with the specimen, but I am impressed with his speed, a 4.38 40. That's good to see. But again, there are so many guys.
Real quick, I'm getting 31 7/8 inches arms for Tariq Castro-Fields.
Really? This was on the NFL.com draft profile I got.
Okay, I'm looking at it. I'm getting it on Draft Scout, so I'm not sure.
What do you have?
I got 31 7/8, so just a hair underneath 32.
Basically, that's an inch over this, though. That's a huge difference. Yeah.
How did they get that?
That's 2 extra inches in the wingspan.
Okay. All right. It's in dispute.
Well, let's go with that. Then it's decent. Absolutely decent. So he runs a 4.38. I do like that. I watched him. This is a guy who's more of a football player than a defensive back, and that's why he slips to round 6.
Yeah, there is a definite discrepancy there. On NFL.com, they say 30 3/4, and on Draft Scout, they say 31 7/8. I don't know, man.
I'll tell you this. So when you take your measurements and you stick your arms out, where you've got your shoulders, you can see that. Who knows? It might have been that. Could have been the person measuring, you don't know. But I mean,
wow,
these people should be professionals. But anyway, it's not his fault. Either way, apparently he's long armed. So that's great. He has a high motor. These are the notes I took from watching his tape. I watched like 10 minutes of highlights from him playing various schools and things like that. And again, he predates on Maryland. That's where he has his biggest games. He's high motor, very physical. And what's interesting is when you watch his highlights, you come away saying, damn, he's like Jimmy Ward level when it comes to tackling. Because one of the things I always loved about young Jimmy Ward was his ability to sure-handed tackle. He puts his hand on you, you're going down. He doesn't always put his hat on you, but he puts his hands on you, and he's a sound tackler. I love that about him. And pretty much Jimmy drops you where you are. You don't carry Jimmy Ward in his prime. That's something that I feel Jimmy returned to last year. That's something I saw from this guy. He's a decent-sized corner. He's almost 200 pounds going up against college receivers. He's going to need that at the NFL level. He really pursues the flats in the backfield. He sniffs out running backs really well. Despite all this, he had 11 missed tackles in his final season. That is of concern, especially at the NFL level. Things don't get easier; they get worse. So
yeah, he was a missed tackle machine. Yes,
he should be a tackle machine. But when I watched him, he reminds me of Marcel Harris, and the ups and the downs of Marcel Harris is what I project this guy to potentially bring. He overruns the routes. He takes the wrong angles, and then he gets into issues where he gets his hands on you, but he's behind you. He's beside you. He's got no chance of making the tackle. So he melts off the receivers when they've got the ball. If they get ahead of steam, it's really easy to blow past this guy.
Yeah.
Not because he is strong. He is strong. Not because of that. Simply because he's not taking the right angles. And hey, if they're going to draft this guy, then they need to clean this up. But that's what you get in round 6. So again, you look at this guy, his body, his brain. This guy is a film study. This guy is like, he has the approach that Richard Sherman has to the game. And I love that about him. He's well known by his coaches as a film study. But this is what you get in round 6. So he's got the brain, he's got the body, but he doesn't have the experience. He doesn't have the fluidity. And his back pedal is also not that great. So he relies on his brain to see what's in front of him. And if he diagnoses it, plays over. This guy picked off a pass in a screen while standing between 2 offensive linemen. That's tough to do. Just literally, you could see him drop back and then move up in the box, and he was right there, and it hit him right in the hat. So there's the benefit of him, but then you have the lack of fluidity, and some of his technique needs to be refined.